Alrighty, guys, welcome to tonight's charting session. Hopefully, everybody is doing well. It is Tuesday, November 21st. Today, we did have FOMC minutes, so we're going to go over the trades that we took today, a little bit of the action. But going into tonight is going to be more focused on. I do want to have kind of a discussion and talk about some things that I think is just crucial, important to being successful in this space. And so we're going to go briefly over the trades that we took today, briefly a little bit over the action, and then we'll jump into some stuff that I want to talk about. So going into today, we did have FOMC minutes. I did trade lower size going into today. Again, expecting to maybe see slower action. Again, you don't really know what we're getting. Sometimes FOMC minutes, we get, some clearer action. Sometimes we get it, choppier, slower. So you really don't know going into the day. So a lot of the times when we do have days like this, I will lower my size, again, just to be safe. So going into today in the morning, I did have a pretty bearish bias until we were going to either run this imbalance or hold it. Going into the morning, we had this 15-minute fair value gap. I was looking to see if this was going to be an area that we would hold or we would bounce. And in the morning, on the 1 minute on NQ, we can see we really didn't do much in this area. Now, I did like these equal highs, and this is what I was watching to see if this was going to become buy side later on in the day. And I wanted this to become buy side here when we came down, started to form structure again in the morning. Keep in mind, from open to 10, 20, pretty much the first 30 minutes of the market, we didn't do much. We sat in this range pretty much. We ended up forming these kind of relative equal lows down here. We came down, swept it, and I was looking to see if we could get some displacement back up to go target these equal highs, but we actually ended up coming and targeting these way later in the day we had NVIDIA earnings, so if you're wondering what this big spike was after hours, NVIDIA earnings, notice we actually went right to take out that buy side level and then immediately sold all the way off to take out the sell side level, which is pretty crazy. So that's something I wanted to touch on as well. So going into the morning, no trades pretty much in the entire morning. The first trade that I took was later in the PM session when we went on live and we waited for the FOMC minutes to come out. But looking back in the morning, I really don't see any possible trades. The only really thing that I maybe could see is a possible long in this area. But if I'm being honest, I would really have wanted to see a long somewhere here, but there really was no imbalance that was revisited after us holding the here. Zooming out to the 1 minute, we didn't really have an imbalance here. 30-second, did we have something here? 30-second, we kind of had, again, we had these inverses that we were holding, but nothing really super clear here. And the reason I didn't like any longs here is because we just ended up forming equal highs and taking that out. So again, I'm not really looking to take anything after that. And then the only really opportunity that I think might have been possible is a possible short. Once we came down, had some displacement, came back up, waiting for the displacement. Not yet, came back up one more time, swept this high, and then finally started to get displacement back down. This would have been a possible short opportunity right here in this imbalance to see that sell side level. So that was another possibility. But again, after this, notice the action today, right, guys? Notice the action. Our whole goal when we come into days like this, and in every single day that we come into the market, right? Our goal is not only to practice good habits, but to take into account and recognize what we're looking at, right? Every single day that we come into the market, we're focused on getting something out of it, right? If we're not focused on learning or improving or getting something out of every minute, or again, not every minute, but every day we come into the market, then it's a waste of time. And so coming into a day like this is what I really want you to get out of it, is just recognizing probable versus improbable market conditions. And I guarantee you, if you were a trader that ended up trading today and you took probably more than 2 trades, maybe more than 3 trades, I guarantee you most likely red. If you're not, congrats, that's great. But if you took a lot of trades today, I guarantee you're most likely red, because today is not the day to put on size. Today is not the day to continually try to take trades to make money back. This is the day where you will constantly be getting faked out, chopped up, and constantly moved. Again, if you're green, that's great. But again, go back, recognize the trades that you took, and say if you would take them on a regular day. Are they an A+ setup? Is it a setup you would normally take? If not, journal it and say, hey, I thought this looked good today, but I do want to keep in mind this isn't a trade I would normally take. So I want to make sure that this isn't going to be a normal thing, right? You have to have an incredible level of self-accountability when you are looking back at your day, when you are going to journal, when you're going to look back at the trades you took, whether you took trades or not. You always want to have some sort of self-accountability, whether it be journaling the trades that you took, whether it was a good or bad trade, or just watching the market, right? Understanding your bias. What did you do right? What did you do wrong? Say, hey, coming to the market, we didn't have good action today, traded low size. Maybe you didn't take a trade at all, right? The first thing you want to do is just acknowledge what that was, right? Because if you're not acknowledging what the decision was or what the action that you made was, then you're not really going to get a lot out of the days that you put in, right? I always use the analogy that you can go to the gym for hundreds of hours, but if you go to a gym, do a couple push-ups and leave, there's no point in going to the gym. So waking up every single morning, right? And you're going to look at the market, you're going to trade, focus on getting something out of it, right? Even if you're not taking a trade. And what I mean by get something out of it is not make money. You are not going into the morning being like, oh, I need to get something out of this. Like, let me make a couple bucks, a couple $100, a couple $1,000. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm saying getting something out of it as an experience. What am I doing right versus what am I doing wrong? You want the accountability for it, right? So in the morning, ended up just kind of slowing down, selling off later. Not really much, in my opinion, that was an opportunity for this sell-off. We ended up coming back down even lower to this next 1 hour imbalance we had down here. And from here, again, I wasn't really looking to see lower. I was more of looking to see the rebounds move to the upside and just kind of watching price action. So at this point in time, nothing really looked good here. Again, look how slow the 1 minute is. You do not want to try to trade this. We started to kind of clean up a little bit, starting to kind of have a move here. And then kind of price started to clean up a lot more here. We ended up having a move back down to this 5 minute fair value gap, ended up bouncing off really nicely, got a big move back up. And from here is when we started to revisit the market, right? So number one, keep in mind, the time of day that we were looking at today was probably the best time, in my opinion, that we could have looked at it. Any time before this, super slow, started to clean up here, started to really clean up here, started to clean up even more, right? This is when we were kind of like, all right, it's time to maybe see if we can get some opportunity. So we came back on live in PM, waited for FOMC minutes, and my bias for FOMC was bullish. I wanted to see us have some sort of manipulation move to the downside, but I was expecting the draw on liquidity to be this recent high that we put in, right? We had a big sell-off back to OTE of this initial range that we had. Right, we came back to OTE, bounced off the 5 minute fair value gap, and the previous imbalances over here got ran through, right? Once this gets ran through, I'm expecting this to become an inverse, right? So looking at the 15 minute, we had this 15 minute fair value gap that got ran through, and we had another 15 minute fair value gap right here that ended up continuing to hold. So this was the area that I was looking to see us come back to, maybe hold this area, and then see us get bought up to this buy side level. So the first trade that I took, looking back, again, accountability. What do we do right? What do we do wrong? First trade that I took, a little bit early, in my opinion. It was pretty much a minute, 30, maybe 30 seconds after FOMC actually opened up, and I think that was just a little bit too early. And the reason is because in the first couple minutes of FOMC, a lot of the time, it's going to be the initial volatility shaken up. Market really doesn't know what it wants to do yet. So I did enter a long in this 1 minute fair value gap right here. We came back to the 1 minute. Once I saw us hold this, FOMC ended up opening up. Zooming into the 15 second, let me go back and zoom in here. You can see we had an initial push up. We had this move down here, didn't come down to take this low, got bought up a little bit right here, and then I entered long, and then it immediately flipped, and I got stopped out pretty quickly at this low right here. So I took a small loss right there. And then from there, I was, again, watching to see if we're either going to run through this imbalance, because, again, right when FOMC opens up, it's a little quick. So this first trade, again, I think was too fast. I needed to wait a little bit. But, again, the bias was there, but just a little bit rushed on the entry. Came down, ended up taking the low, continuing to hold that 15-minute fair value gap that we had drawn out and that bigger time frame inverse fair value gap. Once I saw the displacement back up, right, this big move here, then I pretty much had everything that I wanted to see here. We had a 15-second fair value gap. This looked really good. I entered long, expecting to move higher, and then we ended up selling back off, and I got stopped out. And I'm totally fine with this second loss. This second loss was, again, exactly what I would normally take any other day. Came down, bigger time frame imbalance being hold, displacement up, bigger time frame draw being higher, another imbalance taking a long, decent risk, looking for highs, looking to see a breakout higher to let my runners go, and then I ended up getting stopped, right? This is a loss that I'm fine with, right? And also, I did trade lower size on these trades, so I am down around 1,500 on the day from those two losses, which, again, I'm fine with. The only really thing I'm not fine with is I just think this initial trade here wasn't necessary. I think this should have been pretty much the only loss that I took is the second trade. So then after this, I was still long biased, and I was looking to get another long entry when we came here. Now, we ended up coming back down, and at this point in time, I was looking to see if we were going to again, continue to break through the 15-minute fair value gap? If so, then I would start to maybe reevaluate my bias. If this got ran through, I would maybe expect us to go back to this low, but I was pretty confident that we were going to hold this inverse and the fair value gap, right? Because we have an inverse overlapped with another fair value gap. So I was expecting this to most likely hold and have a push up at least to that recent high that we had. So zooming back in, once we got this move down here, we ended up sweeping the previous low right here and ended up forming SMT. From here, right when we got displacement, I should have probably jumped back in long. And I think the only really reason I didn't jump back in long right away is because I wanted to be sure. The action previously, again, has been super choppy. I've been getting stopped out a lot. So I was kind of a little bit more patient to re-enter because I got stopped on those first two trades. And I waited on the 15-second, but unfortunately, I never ended up getting the entry I wanted, right? We had these SMT down here. We got the break here. I was looking to see us come back to this 15-second fair value gap or come back down here, maybe to this inverse. But we ended up just having a straight move up to that buy side level, and I never ended up getting the re-entry on that long. From here is where I want to start to talk about some things. Because this isn't just a system. This isn't just a, hey, I should have re-entered here. We have to think about going back into this moment right then, right when this was happening, right? A lot of emotions are flowing, right? I just took 2 losses previously. I'm looking for an entry. And right after I see my 2 losses and then I miss the entry to then get my initial target in the move I was looking for, that is when you start to get a little emotional, right? You start to get a little emotional. You take a couple losses, you don't get the entry that you want, you've been trying to catch this move the whole time, and then you miss the move. That is when bad decisions start to be made. Things like this is when you have to control yourself. Trading is a game of understanding yourself and having the discipline to make good decisions. Stuff like this, you have to be able to recognize that you are in a single moment in time. Do not let a single moment in time make the decision that will break you for weeks, if not months. One minute decision, a 5-minute decision. This is a 5-minute move right here. Whatever this is, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, that can end up wiping weeks of gains just from me getting emotional off of missing a play like this. It sounds silly. How is that possible? 5 minutes can make a bad decision and wipe out all that? It sounds silly, but this is the trading that a lot of people don't talk about. Is yes, it takes time to be able to control yourself. It takes time to be able to get to a level where shit like this doesn't affect you. And guess what? It still does for me sometimes. I've absolutely become way, way, way better than I was, years ago. But sometimes I get flustered. But what happens and what is important is what you do when you recognize that. And that's what I want to talk about tonight. Tonight is more focused on psychology. Again, I'm not really focused on a lot of what else happened the rest of the day. I really don't think anything else was good today. But I'm more focused tonight on talking about the things that I truly believe hold people back. Because a lot of the times, the things that are holding people back is not the trading. It's not the trading. Once you learn ICT, you'll realize it's not just a click thing. It's not just, oh, I have a model, let me get this model, and then you're instantly a millionaire or instantly making a bunch of money. There is so much more to it in that I want to talk about tonight. And I've been seeing it a lot with our members. I've been seeing a lot with people on Twitter, and sometimes I see a lot with myself, right, in my trading throughout the day. And tonight I want to talk about the hardships and dealing with the things that are holding you back. So the first thing I want to talk about is I truly believe the number one thing, or one of the main things that is holding people back from being successful is the one moment where it all goes downhill. So my question for you guys before we get into this, how many of you guys have had moments in your trading career when, you're going on a week streak, maybe a 2-week streak, and you're like, "Oh my God, I think this is finally it. I think I'm finally getting there. And all it takes is maybe a couple days for all of that to get wiped out the window, and you're back at square one, and you lose all of the confidence that you've had. All of the confidence is just out the window. Me. Yep. Guys, it's happened to me too. It's happened to me hundreds of times. So, the first thing is recognizing this is a problem, okay? This is a problem, and this happens a lot. This happened to me many times before I became consistent. Happened to me many times, and I want to talk about what got me through that and how to fix it. Because there is still times where, now it hasn't happened in, again, knock on wood, but there are still times when I want to spiral. There is something about humans and something about how we behave where it might be an ego thing. It's more, to be honest, it's more of an ego thing. We do not want to accept the fact that, number one, either we are wrong. Number two, the area or the space in which we are in our journey on the timeline is not where we want it to be. And that, I think that is one of the biggest ones as well, is when you are on a hot streak, when you are on a winning streak, you are more prone to take bigger losses. Why do you think that is? Because when you are on a winning streak, your conviction, your confidence is higher than it needs to be. The confidence is no longer focused on the consistency. Your confidence is focused on over-competing. You are not focused on simply getting a trade, taking good size, you're not focused on the consistency. You're focused on over-competing and overstaying. You're overstaying. And I'm trying to put this in the ways of words where you guys can understand this and how I kind of had to realize this and how I fixed it. You get to a point when you're on a hot streak, you feel you can't lose. And whether it be the action is good that week, or you're just taking really good setups, or you're more disciplined, or you're more patient, you're more prone to taking a bigger loss from that point, because you start to get overconfident. You start to be like, oh, I can't fucking lose. I'm gonna make this. I just got funded. Let's make 20K. I think I'm finally getting there. And all it takes is a couple days for you to spiral, and all of that confidence to go out the window. So, what I want for you guys to focus on is, number one, when you are at a point like this, when you are at a point of confidence, there is a level that you want to stay in. There is a gray area on a line. Imagine a line graph, right? Actually, let me pull a pane here. This is the area you want to stay in. This is 0% conviction. This is 100% conviction. 100% is, I can't fucking lose. I'm the best ever. I'm fucking, the best trader in the entire world. I can't lose. And 0 is like, I have no clue what the fuck I'm doing. What do you think percentage of confidence? Again, this is all relative. This isn't like this isn't like a specific thing, but what point in time do you think, what percent is the area that you think is the sweet spot that is safe? Because again, there is a point of trading that is defensive and offensive. When you get too offensive, you're going to get hurt. When you get too defensive, you're going to get hurt. There has to be a sweet spot. And the sweet spot versus offensive and defensive all comes back down to confidence and conviction. 50, 70, 75, 80, 61, 69, 80, 51, 80, 50, 50. Now, I'm not going to give you this answer. This is strictly up to you. This is up to your personal preference. This is whatever you think is possible. Because again, my answer, your answer, anybody else's answer is going to be different. This is just an idea I want you to think about. Because this is an idea of trading where you have to stay in an area and you have to constantly check yourself. The best traders in the world are not focused on proving somebody wrong. They're not focused on posting a P&L. They're not focused on making a shit ton of money. They're focused on replicating a system every single day, not being overconfident, recognizing when and when not to trade, focusing on building conviction, and they do not overstay their welcome in the market. So find whatever number that is for you, whether it be 50-50, whether it be 60, 70, whatever that is. Find what that number is for you. And when you go back and when you find yourself trading, and when you find yourself on a win streak or a losing streak, always revert back to this thought. What level am I trading at, conviction-wise? What percent am I trading at? And you'll start to recognize the level of what you're trading. Hey, Justin, I ended up forcing a bunch of trades today. I didn't need to, blah, 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 blah. Okay, what level was your conviction at? And guess what? Sometimes your level of conviction is here and you're still taking trades. That's number one. That's the first problem you need to recognize, is your conviction is not even at medium, and you're still taking a bunch of trades you shouldn't be taking. So you need to at least be in the middle, which is 50 on, 50 off. This is an idea that I want you to think about when it comes to being picky. When I think about being at 50%, I think about myself. This is how I think about being 50% conviction. 50% of my trading. I'm confident. I'm not super confident. So what do I need to be confident? I need this. So I'm focused on 50% defense and I'm focused on 50% offense, but I'm focused on more of the offensive side than the defensive, but I still focus on both. But for me to get access to that 50% of conviction or confidence that I have in the market, I need a lot more things than I would be if I'm at 80 or 90%. And some of you guys are trading like you're at fucking 95 and you have no fucking reason to do so. That's one just little idea that I want you to think about. Recognize when you're trading. How are you trading? Are you overconfident? Are you underconfident? And are you using that to your advantage? Are you trading behind that? Because most of you are not. That's number one. Are you recognizing if you are even trading behind what you think you are at? Because the problem with people failing in trading is, again, like we said earlier, you'll have a win streak, and all it takes is a couple days for you to overstay your welcome, for you to get overconfident, and for you to break all those rules, right? Because you're overconfident, you're not focused on defense, and you're focused on not losing that streak. That is when the ego gets in the way. All of these influencers on Twitter, all of these influencers on social media, everywhere, that are focused on keeping a green streak, keeping all this stuff, whatever it is, even if it means taking more trades to bring them back green on the day, they are not good traders. They are simply not good traders because they focus more on being perceived as a good trader than actually being a good trader. And we've talked about this before. Do not get caught in the trap of your ego getting in the way and you wanting to be perceived by others as a good trader than doing it for your fucking self. And it happens. Trust me. I've had a big problem with this in the past. First 2 years of my trading, I was held back because I was so focused on proving to my friends, proving to other people that I knew what I was doing. And I wasn't even focused on improving as a trader. So there would become times when I would get overconfident. I would over-leverage myself. I wouldn't focus on the defensive because I was so focused on passing an eval. I was so focused on getting green on the day, whatever it is. All of those, you have to realize, are outcomes. Green P&L, proving to somebody else. All of these things are outcomes from decisions you make. If you are not focused primarily on the decisions you are making, then why are you caring about the outcome? Think about that. You are focused on the outcome of something that you haven't even focused on the decision there. You can't work backwards. You can't try to get the outcome without focusing on the process to get the outcome. You're working backwards, and that's what's holding yourself back. The reason I preach this every single day in this community, when I'm on social media, any single day when I'm here and I'm trading with you guys, even on days like this, it was funny. I had a message today that said, "Oh my God, we sold off 100 points in the morning, no trade alerted. I'm out of here." Like that is hilarious to me, because all that's telling to me is that you will never be successful. You'll never be successful. Every single day we come into the market, we're focused on building conviction and practicing good habits. These are the two things that need to be in your brain circulating every single fucking day. It should be on a Post-it note in front of your fucking desk every single time you wake up in the morning. Everybody write this down. Go get a fucking piece of paper and go get a Post-it note or something to put on your desk, hang it on your wall, and say, focus on building good habits and building conviction. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. If you want to make money, if you want to be free, trading can do that. Trading has changed my life. It has changed many of my friends' lives. It has changed people in this community's lives. But guess what? Trading is not the thing that got them that money. It was the constant work in the behavioral aspects of every single day, how they wake up, how they live their life, how they think when they're looking at the charts. Those are the things that made them successful. And if you don't want to put in the work to work on those things, I'm sorry, there's no shortcut to this. There's no shortcut to success in this game. Very few percentages of people who come into this space are successful long term. And it gets to a point in most people's career, in their trading journey, where they put in some time, they put in a year, 2 years, they get some success, and then they keep failing. And they say, I don't know what the problem is, and they give up. Most of the time, it's this. This is the problem. You are not focused on the right things. You are focused on the outcome. You are not focused on the decisions that will get you the outcome and the habits that will get you the outcome. This community is not like a normal community. I am not like a normal trading influencer. DJ is not like a normal trading influencer. Johnny isn't. We are here to give you the fucking facts. No bullshit, no fairy dust. I don't care if I'm not here to sell you a dream. I'm here to tell you, guess what? You're going to fucking fail if you're not going to focus on this shit. I will be straight up with you. This is tough love. I have been through it. I have failed hundreds of times. Let me help you. Trading gets you uncomfortable. That's the best way to put it. Trading gets you uncomfortable, and without being uncomfortable, you will never grow as a person. With trading, you will have to be able to undergo a level of self-accountability that you have never undergone before. You have to have a level of accountability. Every decision you make matters. Every single one. And you should be constantly reflecting on those decisions. Again, going back to what trading is. Trading is a system. What's really good at systems? AI, robots. Why? Why do systems work with robots, but it very hardly works with us? Because a system doesn't work when you have added emotion, when you have other outcomes, when in the back of my head, I'm focused on feeding my family. When in the back of my head, I'm focused on, paying rent. I'm focused on all these other things. When those things come into play, it is nearly impossible. Nearly impossible. Because you are focused on those other things. You cannot bring your outside life into trading. Because a system does not work if you are not focused just on that system. So, tonight, ask yourself, where am I right now in my journey? Whether you've had success in the last couple of weeks, maybe you've been failing the last couple of weeks, you're at a low, you're at a high, wherever it is. No. Even if you are at a high, doesn't mean you're going to stay there. Even if you are at a low, doesn't mean you are going to stay there. The only way to guarantee you stay there is if you continue what you're doing right now. Okay? Reflect. Constantly. Constantly reflect. Trading, a good trader never stops improving. I am always a student. You are always a student. The best traders in the world are always going to be a student because they are focused on learning. Any questions or anything that you guys want to ask? If you guys want to talk about where you are in your journey right now, feel free to ask any questions. What would you recommend to someone who was on a winning streak the last 2 weeks and had a bad red day today? Maybe take tomorrow off and review, devise a plan, or next day. I would say this. What do you think made you successful the past 2 weeks? Again, you can say bad action, good action, whatever it is. But what made you have a bad red day today? Because there's a good red day and there's a bad red day. So what made you have a bad red day? Review, journal it, and focus on not doing those things. Whether it be you were over leveraging, you were over trading, you were trying to make a loss back, review it, engrave it in your head. And next time you do it, punish yourself for it. Something Mark Douglas said in his book, I read it over today. Don't try to avoid losing. Don't try to make money back. Don't try to make more money or hit a specific goal. Simply apply your edge when it's present itself. Go into every day with no agenda. Just recognize, react to the opportunity, and disassociate emotions with outcomes. Absolutely. 100,000%. No, I would not take that trade, Saint. How do I scale out of a position? I add onto my positions by hitting sell market or buy market and putting in my units amounts and pressing buy or sell. When I exit my position, I hit close and closes everything. That's fine. You can exit with markets. That's fine. Again, if you scale out, you do the same thing by entering, by scaling in. Just put whatever the contract size is and sell it or buy it, depending if you're short or long. A lot of trading influencers that I follow previously, especially on Discord, they mention they are so careful and they never blow any accounts. So I feel horrible and demotivated every time I blow one because I feel like they don't blow any. Guys, most of these fucking influencers are lying to you. Lying. And even if they aren't, never, ever compare yourself to somebody else. That is one thing that will always hold you back. You, me, and every single person in this call right now is on a completely unique journey than anybody has had. Completely unique. Completely unique experiences, completely unique reactions, completely unique decisions. You cannot compare somebody's end to your start. Everybody is in a different point in their journey. The only thing that's holding you back is comparing yourself and wondering, how is he doing it, but I'm not? Focus on what the cards you are dealt and the mistakes that you are making. What would you recommend for a break-even trader? I haven't impulsively traded or blown up in a big loss in probably over a year, but I will lose 3 small trades in a row, then have a big winner to get them back. A break-even is just a small cycle. My recommendation to you is see what trades you're taking that are losses. Number one, it's good that you're taking small losses, but what I get out of this is you're taking unnecessary losses. If you're having 3 losses in a row, sometimes those might be, again, that happens, that's fine. As long as you're keeping them small, that's great. But review and see if those losses are necessary losses to take. Are they good losses or are they forced losses? I know I shouldn't be mad, but for me, it's when I'm in a position up like 6K and go all the way to stop loss 2K. Okay. What I say to this is, why do you care? Your job should be enter a position, have a price target, have a stop loss. You should not care what happens in between that area. Whether you go up 5K before going down 2K, whether your PT or stop loss gets hit, that's the only thing that matters. You wait for a setup, you have a system, you apply risk, you accept whatever risk is on the table, and your PT gets hit or your stop loss gets hit. That's it. Anything in between is noise and just will cause emotion. If I buy 4 NQ contracts, I would scale by selling 2 contracts. Yep. On your come up, have you ever felt super confident after a winning streak, then take a loss, look at the chart next day and feel lost? What do you do? again, focus on building confidence. Okay, let's talk about this. The number one, again, I always say the number one thing because it's all so important. The level, you need to be focused on emotional recognition. Emotional recognition. And what to do after that is what is the important part. It's because I can be like, hey, Justin, you're kind of on edge here. But if I don't do anything about that, then it really doesn't fucking matter. So if you're on a winning streak and you take a loss and you come into the next day and you're like, oh, and you're scared to take a trade, why would you even take a trade? You recognize that you are scared. Does that sound like a good condition for you to trade in? No. You recognize that, but you don't have the discipline to act on it. That's the problem. Is many of you guys can recognize the emotion, recognize the problem, but you won't stop. You don't have the discipline to stop. And a lot of the times, you guys will get to a point with a spiral where you'll go till your fucking account's blown or you're back green. You will literally keep going until the whole account's gone or you're back green. You will not walk away until then. And trust me, I used to do the same fucking shit. But you have to realize, in that moment, in that exact moment when you are feeling that, when you take a loss, another loss, and you're automatically trying to jump in a position, you have to be able to come to your senses and say, get out. It doesn't matter what trade you're in. Get out and fucking leave. It doesn't matter. That is one specific moment. That is one day at the office. You are focused on one day in your journey. Trading is a longevity game. When you are only dialed in on one day, 1 week, you're going to get so much added emotion into this game. Now, that week, that day will absolutely matter if you're following bad habits. If you're over leveraging, fuck yeah, it'll take a day, maybe a week to blow everything you have. But if you're following good habits, I come in today and say, oh, it's a loss. I come in tomorrow. Oh, it's a loss. I come in tomorrow. Oh, maybe 3 losses in a row, 3-day loss. Oh, it's a loss. I come in tomorrow. Because the losses that I am taking on those days are losses that I should be taking most of the time. Hopefully they are. And they're good risk and not over leveraged trades. Because why? I'm not focused on making money. I'm not focused on proving something. I'm not focused on passing an evaluation. I'm focused on coming into the market, finding my edge. If it's not there, I don't do anything. And replicating my system. That's all it is. Sounds easier than it is. I feel like that you just have to accept that there will be losing days, but if you keep trading how you should be at the end of the week, you should be green. Guys, trading is a part of the game, or losing is a part of the game. If you can't afford to, if you can't handle losing, that's the first problem that needs to be fixed. You need to be able to lose. The best losers are the best winners. How you control your losses, how you behave after a loss, you should focus more on than how you behave after a winner. I don't give a fuck how you behave after a winner. Guess what? Everybody's going to be happy when they win. Not everybody's going to be upset or happy when they lose. Control yourself. Recognition of how you behave when those things happen. When times get hard, how are you behaving? Do you make fast decisions after that? Do you try to make it back? Are you just spiraling? What is happening after that decision? You'll start to recognize a pattern. What's my main problem? Is it I take a couple losses and I'll spiral? Or is it, I over leverage after I take a loss? Whatever it is. You will continue to do that same thing until you find what it is and you fix it. Anyone else who needs to hear this, in this trading world or anything in this world, there will be one who will always support you in anything you can go through. For me, trading has gotten better for me when I'm grateful, not just for the RR or my decisions, but grateful for who is watching over me. His name is God. Don't forget about him. Whenever I do unintentionally, I feel lost. Give him thanks, whoever needed this. Hope this serves you all well. Love y'all. Much love, Ant. I'm sure that helps a lot of people. Again, there's always things that you guys can go to. Whether you have belief in God, whether you're a religious person, whether you want to go to family, whether you want to, again, guys, you are in the best fucking community that you could possibly be in. Do not be afraid to be vulnerable. We are all here to learn and help each other. When I'm in a trade and in profits, my emotions sometimes take over when I see a candle going the other way and end up getting out of the trade early. Any advice? Again, you're focused on your P&L. You're not focused on the charts. If you see one candle go against you, that candle doesn't mean anything most of the time. That candle doesn't mean anything for the reason why you're even in the trade in the first place. You're focused on seeing the P&L go back. You were just up, and now you're back down. And you're afraid it's going to go back even lower. You're not trading the chart. You're trading your P&L. That's the problem. I remember how I lost $3K and came to the realization that system needs to work both ways to make a trader successful. A system where it is constant, but also a system that keeps losing to a minimum and a constant as well. It's not always about to make money. Absolutely. This is huge. A system where it is constant, not only in losses, but minimum losses. Or not only in winning, but minimum losses. I've been trading for a year on Forex and gold fucked me up constantly until I have feelings when I blew an account. I just buy another and start again, but I feel that's not a good thing because I think this will mean I keep blowing accounts because it doesn't affect me. Recently, I found Naz and ES and found Justin, and I'm looking forward to learning properly and passing my first Apex challenge. Let's talk about this too. This is a big thing that I see a lot of people do. You'll blow an account. Apex got a 90% sale. Oh, let me get another one. Oh, I'll blow another. Oh, 90% sale. Let me get another one. Why do you guys think these fucking prop firms are constantly on sale? They're fucking you. Right in the ass. They're literally bending you over the table and fucking you without you even realizing. They want you to fail. They want you to build bad habits. They want you to keep paying them. They do not want you to be successful. Recognize this. Do not fall into the cycle of, oh, I failed an eval. I'll just get another one. All you're doing is building bad habits and then getting another one expecting things to change. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. If you are not focused on the reasons why you are failing, you're never gonna improve. Have you ever blown a funded? Yes, of course. How do you make the shift from trading P&L to trading chart? What are some tips to change? Don't look at your P&L. Close it. Trade pips. Trade points. When you enter a position, don't look at it. Make it so it's only showing in points. Only trade one micro. Lower your size. Again, focused on building conviction. Focus on trading the chart, not focused on making money. The reason you're scared, the reason why you're not focused on trading the chart is because you're afraid to lose. You're over leveraged. You can't afford to lose. Trade a tenth of what you normally trade until you can build the confidence to only trade the chart. And I'm saying trade a tenth of your contract size for a month straight. Many of you won't do that. When I say to guys, hey guys, you're struggling with conviction, you're struggling with not trading the chart, trade a micro for a month and tell me how that works. And I guarantee you're going to be the best trader you've ever been. But you won't. I love how you're so straightforward and you talk like these because it's so real and other influencers don't do this and all thing. Again, I'm not trying to fucking sell you guys a fairy tale. I'm telling you guys straight up. Because trust me, the reason I'm so passionate about this is because I had to go through all of the shit that you are going through. And I still have problems with it today. We're human. We have emotions. As much as it's great in real life, it fucking sucks for trading. Sure does. But I have been able to overcome many of these things that you are having problems with. And when I see you guys making the same mistakes that I would make, it hurts. I want to help. I am here to guide. And sometimes my way of doing that is a little harsh, but it's because I'm passionate about it. Yeah, I can send the chart link. I was up 1,200 on my funded, trading well, then blew it, realized what I did was wrong, size too big, and couldn't walk away. Knew I was fucking up while I was fucking up. Well, motivation has got me more disciplined, so thanks for that, dude. Taking notes on my mistakes and getting back to the basics to build again. Yes, sir, brother. Again, you got this, bro. Can you review my trade? Looks good. Bigger time frame imbalance, waiting for the displacement, wait for the second imbalance, targeting the internal. Looks good. All right, guys. That's all I have for you guys tonight. We're a team. This takes time. Whether you are at a low, whether you're at a high right now, whether you're in the middle, I don't care. You got this in the fucking bag. Have confidence in yourself and what you're capable of doing. Oh, yeah, let's talk a little bit about tomorrow. Sorry. If we continue to hold this, I'm pretty bullish going into tomorrow, to be honest. 4-hour fair value gap down here, still holding. Did we make the... No, the daily ended up closing, huh? Actually, daily doesn't look too bullish. I would like to maybe see us come back down to here, but again, I won't be bearish until this imbalance gets ran through. So what I'm watching to see is either one of two things. Either we come up, take this high, and we displace through it. If we displace through and we run all of these imbalances, I'm expecting to go to the high. If we end up breaking through this imbalance right here, I'm expecting us to go lower. Again, right now, no bias here. We can go both ways. There's no reason to trade here. Wait for one or the other, the high or the low, to get taken. Simple as that. Doesn't need to be much more. All right, guys. Yes, we will be going live tomorrow morning. All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your night. I will post the recording of this if you want to go back. Hopefully, you got something out of this. Hopefully, you got something out of these charting sessions. Again, we're a team. We got this. Wherever you're at, you got this in the bag. We're practicing building good habits. We're taking good trades. If we take bad trades, we're hurting ourselves. Wait, never mind. We're not hurting ourselves. We're being hard on ourselves. Sorry. All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your night. I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Peace.